You can always go on dynamic, it's a matter of choice. As soon as you take out the foot from the brake pedal, the car wants to go even almost without accelerating. That's really nice. In my opinion, the suspension is reacting to the DNA system. You said that the car does not have magnetic suspension. It seems that the car does not roll as much as it did. And the sound of the engine is really more blunt, more grunty. So here's the situation. On dynamic we have a situation with the turbo. We have a pressure that is commanded by the control unit, and the turbo does that pressure and eventually goes into overboost to compensate for the change of gear, for example. And on dynamic we have an increase of the time and quantity of overboost to have a more reacting engine on dynamic. Basically, having a bit more of injection of diesel fuel, we have to accompany that with a bit more turbo pressure, around 200 millibars of extra pressure on top of what is happening with the turbo. Let's test here the shift pedals, put the car into manual mode. As soon as you do that, you can see what gear are you in, and basically these pads are excellent on the touch feeling and reaction to the gearbox. It's really fast. Basically on this gearbox I cannot feel any shifting difference on the power. The power does not go down on the engine, and you cannot feel the shift of the gears. Basically it seems to be like a perfect interaction between all of the gears. Imagine those athletes that are running and they have this testimony, this object that they pass to one another, and as soon as they get near one another, the one that will receive the testimony starts running before the other one arrives, and they meet halfway, so to speak, and then the other guy goes with the testimony. That is sort of what happens to these modern gearboxes, being automatic or being a TCT or even a DSG gearbox. They basically handle the gears before the other one, the next one or the previous one is even out. I really do like here the system for parking the car. As I push on the parking button, the car obviously, with the car stopped, obviously the gearbox goes in parking position and the handbrake automatically engages, so it's one touch does all. Already drove some cars that I have to do a lot of things to essentially immobilize the car, and this one is really much easier and simple to do. Essentially, this gearbox being a general purpose use gearbox, it's very well applied to this car. It's very, the system is very well comprehensively adapted to this vehicle. Once again, this car has a perfect balance between a sports car, an SUV, and I think really all together it's a really perfect recipe for success on this platform. If you really want a more sporty car, you have the Giulia. What's nothing wrong with that. So we have a Stelvio for family comfort and long journeys. And if you need something more sporty, if you are single, for example, you can actually have a better for you car, that is the Alfa Giulia. The Giulia is a totally different beast. The car is much more vibrant, it's much more dynamic. It is the same platform, but it is a different car, and it's amazing the way that the car handles a turn, and it's amazing the way that the car drives, the way that it responds to your commands. It's really an amazing vehicle. For me, the Alfa Giulia is the best of the recent models of Alfa Romeo. It is light like the Alfa 156 in the best possible way. For example, the steering is very quick and very light in terms of not light that you cannot feel the road, nothing like that, but light on his feet. The car is very agile. It's ready for everything. It's ready to go, to really. The sitting position of the Giulia is amazing because you sit down and you are immediately on that position of race car. So basically, it does not make sense to make a Stelvio completely sporty if you have a Giulia. Obviously, the Stelvio has a lot of competition on the market today. All the crossovers, the Q5 and whatnot. And Alfa Romeo had to do this to stay relevant, to stay on the market. And basically, if Alfa Romeo did not take this step, I think it will be bad for the current market. Alfa Romeo is going to a path that is something mysterious, because it is becoming a very expensive car, a very expensive range of cars, but at the same time they have a lot of quality on the materials. It is a very luxurious and quality feel of materials and parts. And because of that, the price has to be reflected on that. When I was doing my research, I follow up a reviewer of cars, a general reviewer of all brands of cars, and this reviewer said about the Stelvio, if the Alfa Romeo Stelvio was a German brand car, being a Mercedes, BMW, Audi, whatever, Volkswagen product, it will be out of stock for 2 years, because it is a very, very luxurious and very well built car. But, as always, being an Alfa Romeo, people just do not care. When I was younger, I had Alfa Romeo, several of them. In the recent past, I did not have any, and now I had the opportunity to have this Stelvio with my wife and my kid. So I think it really was a turning point on my Alfa Romeo journey. Although in my head the Alfa Romeo GT Q2 is still my dream car. Just to give you a insight of this Alfa Q2, the way that the car speaks to you on the road, the way that you can enter and exit a roundabout with the same speed, it's amazing. It is the perfect harmony between man and machine. That Torsen differential does some magic on that 1.9 JTDM or MJet or whatever you can call it, 150 horsepower. It seems low, but with that package and with that differential, it seems like a 200 horsepower pocket rocket. It's really awesome. If you are single, for example, or if you have your children already taken care of, I encourage you to find an Alfa Romeo GT Q2, for example, and really absorb the experience of having a really purpose-built, sporty Alfa Romeo. Although being a sports car, it has a lot of storage compartments. The boot is enormous, it's really big. You can comfortably sit 2 people in the back seats. You can actually sit 3, but 2 comfortable in the back seat. On the front seats you have a lot of space. Being an Alfa 147 based car, you have a lot of space everywhere. For example, here the Stelvio has a lot of boot area as well. The Tonale, the new car, has a big boot for the size of the car. You can notice that the back end is extended a little bit to have a bit more boot area. So on this car, on this Stelvio, being a family car, obviously the boot space is really important, and it was a thing to consider because I had a Ford S-Max, and it really was a family car devoted model. So this one, it really has also a very generous and big boot. Yeah, for example, my models, I have my 156 sedan, it has an enormous boot. I have my 156 Sportwagon, it has a really big boot. Curiously, not as big as the sedan. I have my Alfa 75 enormous boot. I have my Alfa 155 giant boot. Even my 33, that poor thing, it has a large, very large boot. The Alfa Brera, for example, it has a large boot as well. The Spider models obviously don't have such a big boot because of the convertible top, but obviously that is to be considered. So it's really a sad thing with these things, because Alfa Romeo tries to adapt, create and develop new things, offer good solutions like the boot space, for example, on many models or almost all models, and at the end, yeah, no one cares. So you know me, you know that I when I was younger, I always liked to live flat out. My life was lived always flat out, and still today, but not as much as it used to be, of course. And I always love to drive my cars very vigorously. And now I'm at a point of my life that I want to drive a little bit slower, but knowing that I have a machine that allows me to go crazy anytime I want. But also, when driving slow, I can feel the quality of a very good, well-built car, and this is the case exactly. So going slow or fast, you can notice that the car does not have any noises, no parasitic noises inside of the car. It gives you a really sense of comfort, and that gives you also a feeling of well-being inside of the car. So Bruno, do you advise people to buy a Stelvio? Oh yeah, of course I do. But I am suspect to saying this. Yeah, no, you are not, because remember, you had in Ford S-Max, you had a very big family car, and you now took the step, took the courage, not the courage itself, but took the leap to buy this Stelvio. So this, I think, it really shows the experience. You can tell in the first person the experience of turning back again to Alfa Romeo being a good experience. So yes, I think it's valid to you to say that people should buy this model. So you had to take the leap to jump for something that you knew, that you were happy with the Ford, and to take the leap to this Stelvio, a car that you do not know anything about. I think it's important. That is the message of this video. Previously, on the recording of this video, I asked my colleague here, Bruno, also called Bruno, to do a list of things that he did not like about the car. And now that he drive the car for a few weeks, it does not have anything to spoke about, because everything that was wrong with the car was solved with the tire pressure, tire balance, and wheel alignment. And the screen, okay, the screen has a factory malfunction, not a malfunction, a defect on the outer layer of the acrylic. It starts to develop scratches up and down, scratches like defects, okay. And funny story, this model had the little screen on the inside, and now with the upgrade of the part, we have this not from Alfa Romeo, we have the full screen of the Stelvio that works perfectly with the hardware that is installed on a car. In terms of rear view camera, this car is a bit late on that. I have my Peugeot van, for example. It has a good rear view camera and screen. Also, more cars that I know have on this age have a better equipment for that. The Tonale, for example, just came out, the Tonale, and it has a really good system. But remember that Alfa Romeo was a bit late on this, and also something else. For some countries, namely North America, it is mandatory to have a backup camera, so they had to put a backup camera on it. So we hope that the Stelvio has the same evolution as the Alfa Giulietta had, for example, the newer Giulietta. The Giulietta was in production for about 12 years. The earliest models have really nothing to do with the first one. At first it seems to be because the car is visually the same. We have a bigger range of engines to choose from. We have now the TCT gearboxes. The interiors are nicer. The quality of the materials is better. So we have an evolution, the infotainment systems and whatever. We have an evolution inside of a model that it seems to be frozen in time, but in fact it is not. They developed a lot of work on the Giulietta, and thankfully they sold well. I think they did, and we hope that the Stelvio goes along those lines. We see that the sales are not that they're supposed to be, but they seem to have several upgrades every now and again for the Stelvio, of course, and the Giulietta, and I think they are trying to do better and better every year. The thing that we are looking here at Alfa Romeo, they are trying to put themselves on a higher range of clients and prices and all that. I think being on the Fiat Group, they could still do the more little cars. We have the Fiat 500 platform, we have the Fiat Punto platform, we have so many good platforms that, okay, you can have a good high quality Stelvio and Giulia and the Tonale, and still have the little cars, the little Alfa Romeos that were always so popular between younger guys and persons that do not have any money to spend anywhere. If you can remember about the fusion of PSA and FCA, the Stellantis, now it is the Stellantis group, they did a 10-year experiment timeline for all the makes of the group, okay, all the makes and all the models. 10 years is the time date. If after 10 years the figures are not what they expected, all of the brands that fail will die. So 2 years, 3 years have passed for us guys, and Alfa Romeo is not looking so great. Please, if you can purchase a new, only the new cars matter, okay? If you can purchase a new car, being Alfa Romeo, Fiat, Lancia, or any other Fiat-derived car, okay? And now the Tonale too. You have to consider the amount of effort and quality on these models. The Stelvio and the Giulia are, if I can call it so, a trademark of the new Alfa Romeo. They really have a bang for your buck, if I can say so. Consider all things. This is really a game changer for Alfa Romeo. If you are considering buying a Alfa, please consider the quality and the effort that is being put in on this brand. Okay, this is not the first time that Alfa Romeo did that. We can see a constant improvement of quality on the 33. Of course, it was not a very sophisticated car, but now the 155 enters, and the 156, and the GT, and the 159, what a jump that was. And now we have this. For me, for the owner of this car, it was not being easy to be surprised with the quality so far, and when I clamped eyes on this car, man, I was surprised so much positively. One quick test that you can do when you look at a car like this is to just grab your fingers or your fingernails and tap on the surfaces. And on this car, there are no hollow parts. It is all very well, how can I say it? It is all very insulated. The touch and feel and sound of the materials are all high grade, and it is a higher grade than some cars that have higher price tags too. It is interesting that I follow Maserati on the American market, North American market, as I can see on the videos, YouTube videos of course, I can see that the interiors of Maserati brand are not as good as expected for a car like that. It is strange because it seems to me that the Stelvio has a better finishing of everything inside of the car and outside that the high market Maserati brand. It's odd because Maserati belongs to FCA and PSA and the Stellantis group, so it is a bit strange to say the least. To point out also, the equipment of this car is still good, is still relevant, and it has the system of high and low beam automatically changing when you are passing through another car. Yeah, exactly. I also bang up about the automatic systems, namely the AC components. I know I have to do more videos for that. And if you have the auto functions, the auto features, use it. You just have to push auto, select about 20 degrees centigrade, and that's it. It's good for nighttime, for daytime, for winter, spring, fall, whatever you like. 20 degrees is always nice. So this really was a different video to what I used to do, but it was a video that I was trying to do for about a year or so. I'm trying to contact some dealerships, also the importer for Portugal here, but so far no replies have been sent to my way. So this is really a first. I really like to do this video, mainly because this is the honest reaction of myself and the owner. And I know that even though that you bought the car, I know the person that you are. If you are not happy with the car, even though you like very much this Alfa Romeo brand, because it is really very close to you, brand, I know that you can undo the deal as soon as you want. So you having the car, it really means that you are liking every aspect of it. I know that you are a person that really likes everything very, very straightforward and very perfect. So if everything is according to plan, you will keep the car. If not, I know that you are returning the car immediately. And as you can see, that is not happening.